and welcome back to the Macca's Talk Hockey Podcast, the podcast where me and my brother Charlie and our mate Dan talk about English ice hockey, specifically the NIHL. And it's been about a week and a half since we've done our last episode, our last transfer episode, if you want to call it. And there is so much news and transfers we need to cover today, sign-ins, re-signings, whatever you want to call it. We got coach signing as well, which I'm sure Charlie's looking forward to talk about. We've also got a special interview, which I did with Thomas Relf, who signed for the Basingstoke Bison, Dan. I know you are happy about that one. So that's about half an hour long. We'll probably input that after when we go on to the Basingstoke signings, because they kick-started their signing campaign. So I'll input that somewhere. But yeah, I did an interview with Ralph, and that was really good. But yeah, Charlie, how you feeling? You weren't here last week. You couldn't be asked, so you've come back this week.
No, I was tired. Um, I'm enjoying my raspberries, and I'm sad that Colorado went out.
Yeah, shall we
Um,
talk about this, Dan? So Edmonton and
Yeah, let's
Toronto
talk.
in the second round quite comfortably, and we're 2-0 up in our series as well in the second round, cruising at the moment. And Colorado went out the first round.
well, as I've always stood by, it's couple bust. You get nothing for finishing second place. So if you guys don't win the cup, then you're just as crap as Colorado.
Wow, you were so confident you were beating Dallas with Dallas missing one or two of their best players, and then Rantanen, who left you, come and beat you in game seven.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was
Oh my
fun.
days.
It was a bit
Anyways,
sad.
let's get on to the league which matters, the NIHL, and actually starting with some sad news to start with. The Berkshire Bees, have put out a statement earlier this week, or it might have been last week, about how their club financially is just not able to go into next season. Pretty much, they haven't officially said they're not going to be here next season, but it doesn't look good, Dan. And it is sad because Bees have been one of the longest serving British clubs. They've been all up and down. They've won the Elite League, if you want to call it that, the top division of English ice hockey. And just like when Basingstoke went, this is going to be sad that Bees might have to go this season.
Oh yeah, it's never a nice feeling. So yeah, I know exactly how the Bees fans are feeling. It's not nice at all. But at least sort of the tough thing with Bees is the way it was put out. Obviously with Bison, it wasn't sort of put out that way. But Bees is obviously it's quite hard to take. Um, it's gonna be it's gonna be like it's gonna be interesting to see what happens because I mean, they could come back, but obviously it's looking unlikely, unfortunately. And it's gonna be sad to see the rivalry go if they do go. As a Minnesota fan, obviously, I remember my first ever Bison game was a Bees Bison game, and obviously that's what got me into ice hockey at the very start. So that rivalry's been going for ages now, and yeah, it's not the nicest feeling. You never want a team to leave either. So yeah, you just got to feel for the Beats fans.
Charlie, ever since they lost their rink in Bracknell, it's been tough for them. They've managed to keep going. They made the playoffs that season where a lot of people didn't expect them to. So they have done pretty decent, consider it with all things considered. But I think with Bison coming back, I think everyone had a little inkling that this might happen.
Yeah, I did say to you earlier on in the year that I'd be surprised if Bees made the season. And then they kind of announced Sarah Sennis on a 2 year, and I was like, oh, okay.
Mm,
But it was it's difficult for them. You look at their attendances, and they are on the lower spectrum with Sheffield. But as we know, Sheffield have kind of got a different purpose to Bees. And ever since their rink went in Bracknell, I think everyone kind of knew that it was going to be difficult, and a lot of credit involved to those who have kept Bees alive. And I hope you guys are able to continue to do that. But at the same time, I wouldn't want Bees to stay in the league and win one game every 20 games because it just wouldn't be worth it then. It wouldn't be fun for anyone involved. And so it's really difficult when you don't have a home rink. They're trying to play in Slough, yet Slough are the biggest team in Slough, of course, and they get more fans. And then you can't really have a two-way with Slough because they don't get along, and I don't really know what's going on there. and so it just causes this massive mess, really. And it's tough for the Bees fans, but I think you could kind of see it coming. It was a matter of time, really, unless you get some big financial boost or you get a new rink in Bracknell. And yeah, it's difficult to see, but at the same time, you don't want people going bankrupt or people spending too much money on something which isn't working.
Yeah. I
But they're
sorry,
not gone just yet.
I don't know why, but your sound really. Can you guys hear me all right? Sorry, my laptop's been really funny. Charlie was just buzzing that whole time. I couldn't really hear him. But
Oh
yeah,
no,
as
it's
you
fine
said,
on mine. Should be all good.
oh, it's doing it with Dan as well. So I will carry on because I think it is all right. But yeah, as you said, I just feel sorry for all those Bees fans, all of the people who put hard work in, week out to keep it going the last couple years. But as Charlie said, I'd much prefer them not to be in the league where they just get battered every week and can't really put out a proper team. And yeah, it's tough. It's really, really tough. But we'll see what proper like official news comes out, I guess, over the summer. And then the other big news is, and this one caught a lot of us off guard. I think people would have paid good money to see Charlie's face and reaction in the morning where he rushed into my room. Slava Kulikov has moved on from the Peterborough Phantoms and has joined the Sheffield Steeldogs on a 3-year deal. Just yeah, there was no rumours about it. Obviously you have all the rumours at Cov, but no one saw this coming. And I've got to say, Dan, we had our questions on whether this Sheffield thing was going to be proper and are they going to do it the right way. We didn't think the first year went as good as it a lot of people had hoped, but I think with the appointment of Slava and knowing what Slava does with the youth and developing teams and wanting to win, it makes complete sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this off season for Sheffield was always going to be on the cards. You look at them last year, and they sort of they said all this stuff, but the year that they had didn't really reflect that. You could tell it was a sort of the first year of it, and now they've had a full season, and they've got the off season fully under this new ownership now. They're really starting to make a statement. We'll talk about obviously a few more of their signings as we go through, but yeah, bringing in Slava is a perfect guy you want if you want to be having that link up with obviously Steelers and Steel Dogs. You have to obviously have a coach that can bring these guys up, teaches them how to play the right way, and we know what way Slava likes to play. He likes to play that structured game, and it should suit those players perfectly going into the Steelers because the Elite League is a more structured sort of play style. You sort of play to your coach's style. You sort of play by what a coach wants you to do, and it's a perfect transition now with Slava there to sort of get these young guys into the mindset of playing that way.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was really shocked, Charlie. I just didn't see it coming. Obviously, we've known Slava. He's been at Peterborough for 11 years. And I just think naturally everyone assumed that he'd just stick around again at Peterborough in another season. But you actually said to me in terms of it's actually just quite a good move for him as well. And there was no Peterborough. Yeah, Peterborough fans were upset about it, and I think I would be the whole time we've been watching hockey. We've known Slava as the coach of Peterborough. Yeah, like he hasn't been anywhere else. I know he did his little time at Slough just before we started watching, but yeah, I think it does make sense for Slava, and it's the right appointment for Sheffield in terms of that development.
Yeah, I think I was so shocked because it was kind of like that's exactly what they need, and I didn't think they'd do it. um, and it's not an easy thing to get Slava away from Phantoms, and he'd had a very successful playoff run as he often does, just a kind of a game away from making winning the cup. And then I guess kind of for him it was kind of the next step, and I think Sheffield is an awesome opportunity for him. And it said he's going to be working closely with Aaron Fox, which is the Sheffield Steelers coach. So that could be an opportunity for him to maybe take that step forward in his coaching career. As he's still, I know that 10 years is 10 years, but he's still fairly young in his coaching career. He has time to continue climbing up the ladders. And for Sheffield, that's a statement of intent. In my eyes, the best coach in the National League is just being taken by the club, which is say they've got a project going. And I don't think you're bringing in Slava Kulikov and then nicking his players when it comes playoff time. I don't think we're going to see a Trombele V2. I think you bring Slava in because you do want to win trophies as well, and you want to be at the top and you want to compete with the best teams. And one of the things I am excited for, and I don't know all the figures and stats, so this is me guessing, but I'm excited to see Slava with a good sized budget from what I can imagine. I think from what I can see, Sheffield probably have a bigger budget than Peterborough. I'm only guessing, I don't know budgets, but they clearly have three good imports at the moment signed up. And I'm excited to see Slava with a really kind of exciting, young, talented team. And to be honest, fair play to Sheffield. Like Dan has been saying, give it 3 seasons with Sheffield and see what happens. And I think we're really going to see a different Sheffield team this year. But also credit to Ben Morgan. I think he did a good job in his first season.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I'm just on the stream. If you're listening, I'm just going to reset my laptop because it is really bugging at the moment. I don't know if it'll affect the sound on the podcast, but we'll cut straight back to us talking as I start recording again. So Slava on a 3-year deal. I know there's a lot of upset Peterborough fans, but be interesting to see who Peterborough bring in. It will be kind of a new little. Well, Dan, it will be a new. What's the word for it? Not
Regime.
new era under Peterborough. We're not going to see the kind of Slava hockey. We might see a bit of a different type of hockey, which could be quite exciting for Peterborough fans.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the players are like as well, to be fair, because I'd imagine Peterborough will still keep that core sort of group.
Yeah, you'd think so.
And
There's quite a few signed up still.
yeah, and a lot of those guys sort of have only ever played under that Slava style
Yeah.
of hockey. So it's going to be interesting to see whether the coach will go in and sort of try and bring his tactics in, or the coach will go in and sort of tell the players to play their style, and the coach will work with them with that. It's going to be interesting to see how, yeah, if they can continue with the Peterborough style of play, or they'll bring like a whole new style in.
Because I can't imagine Slava would have just left him in the dust. Obviously, Buglas signed up, Ferrara signed up. You'd assume Norton's going to sign back up. Salem, he's signed up. Huff. So they've got, and Lavinu will come on to as well. They've got those players signed up ready for next season. So they're not just going to be left in the dust. And I know Slava wouldn't have done that to Peterborough, and he would have made sure that they're in stable condition, ready for next season to compete as well. But back to the Steeldogs, Charlie, you said they got 3 solid imports, and that's because they signed another one on top of Tremblay and Sommer. CJ Garcia from the Elite League, another player from the Elite League coming down to the National, Canadian defenseman, 6 foot, 190 pounds, Charlie. He is going to be a beast in our league, isn't he? And I think me and Dan said on that episode where we went through each team and what they needed, we said that Sheffield needed that big D man to come in, who can throw the body, who can also pick up some points here and there, and who's just going to be able to make those passes on that big rink. And I think this is exactly what they needed, Charlie.
Yeah, I think it's a good signing. It seems like they've got another elite league guy who wants to stay in England. And they kind of picked him up again. They seem to like imports from Manchester. That's
Yeah.
2 in 2 years now, and yeah, I think it's what they needed. I think they have talent in Sam Cooper, who I'm sure will stay. And I think they'll probably end up keeping Jonathan Kirk as
Take some
well.
pressure off him.
And it just adds another guy, and you've got 3 pieces to your top 4D there, and you know what Slava's like. He'll want a decor which is strong, tough to get by, which can hold the lead and can defend, keep your keeper protected. And Garcia, he doesn't look like a man who's going to get moved around and pushed around. He looks like he's going to push you around. So he's going to be physical, he's going to be strong, he's going to be tough, and he's going to have a good forward pass. And I think the key there, I think you're right, is he takes pressure off Jonathan Kirk. And I think that's something which I very highly rate Jonathan Kirk. I always have. But you can tell he's getting a bit older, and maybe he'll drop back to a second pair, which would be good.
Yeah,
Got
I think This this will be really good for Sam Cooper, actually, Dan, to be able to play with someone at that level. It's going to do Cooper wonders, I think, especially if they get paired together. And Garcia, he got 16 points last season, 14 assists. He's going to be able to get the passes out to Sommer, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about obviously Cooper being able to play with Garcia. So I'm also looking at Cooper's going to be coached by Slava. Like
Oh yeah,
that,
we haven't
that
even talked about that.
that's
Yeah.
a perfect guy that you want to sort of be coached by to improve your defensive style of hockey. Like that Sam Cooper, that's a perfect example. Sam Cooper is going to highly benefit from having Slava as his coach, and the thing is, those youngsters in that Sheffield team, because no doubt they'll probably bring in some big talent still to come. Those young guys are going to be around some really, really experienced guys around England. Obviously, if anyone comes obviously in from Canada, America, they've obviously got experience over there. These young guys are going to be able to thrive off the experience that they've got around them. And I think that's going to be another key to how Sheffield are going to grow those young guys and those young players and get those experienced players to sort of pass on their knowledge to them.
Yeah, so they've got the most imports signed up for next season. We assume that Tremblay will stay in Sheffield, and I'm not gonna lie, Tremblay is the perfect Slava player. He is going to be disgusting in that Slava system. Tremblay was probably up there for me in top three players in the league. So yeah, he's going to be unreal. And they just got one import slot left where we'd assume they go for another forward. They obviously haven't signed Halfors back. We don't know if he'll stay, but yeah, it would make sense maybe for another forward. And you've got that goalie battle between Crow and Ben Norton. But yeah, so the Sheffield Steeldogs looking exciting for them. I know a lot of their fans are excited. On to another big one, and it is Jake Bricknell to the Bristol Pitbulls. This feels like a while ago it was announced, but it's been that long since we've done an episode. A 2-year deal with the Bristol Pitbulls, so he's got that solidity in Bristol. I know there's a lot of upset Swindon fans. We'll get to Swindon in a minute, but for Bristol, Charlie, it is a good signing for them. It's a goal scorer. It's someone who's going to be able to put the puck in the back of their net. He's got that bit of ego about him. He knows he can put the puck in the back of the net as well. And I think we're going to see him maybe a bit more physical in that Bristol team because Bristol play a bit different to Swindon. So yeah, it's a really signing the top goal scorer for him last season. It's a solid signing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think for Bristol that they don't have the brick core Swindon have at the moment at their current point of the kind of rebuild, and I think they need imports who are going to be heavy point scorers who can take a big load of the points, and maybe that means they're not the most two-way import, but they take a load of the points like Owen Sobchat was at Bristol.
Yeah.
And Jake Britnell is going to score you a hell of a lot of goals. He's going to get their fans on their feet, and it's a cracking signing, to be honest. Like, I'm not going to deny it. Second half of the season, Jake Britnell was very good for Swindon. He had some brilliant moments. He scored some highlight reel goals, and he has the ego just to put the puck in the back of the net. I you can see why a team like Bristol wanted him. I think they needed to make a statement this year. They needed to prove to their fans that we're not happy where we are, that we're not going to finish bottom of the league again. And by signing the top goal scorer in the league and a guy for the second half of the season had the most amount of points in the league, like he was by far the highest point pace guy. It's a great signing, and there's elements of him I'll definitely miss at Swindon. Like the guy had a natural gift of being able to whack the puck in the back of the net. He scored one of the nastiest goals I've seen against Leeds, where he dangled Lewis Baldwin. And there's some brilliant moments, but I think at Bristol it's going to be really interesting to see his physical side of his game come back out.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll have. I think at Swindon we did manage to really get the best side of his offensive game out, and I think they've just got to be careful at Bristol to not let him get too involved in the physical side of the game. Because at the start of the season there was some silly penalties, and then at the end of the season it was just goals. So I think they want that Jake Britnell rather than the one who kind of gives away some silly penalties. But altogether, Bristol fans, you've got yourself an exciting player.
Yeah, I think this is the step forward, Dan, they needed to get that playoff spot, really. They've missed out on the playoffs the last, is it 3 seasons now they've been in it, or 2 seasons? think it's three,
Three,
three
yeah.
seasons. So they need to get it this season. And yeah, it's a hell of a signing. As Charlie said, I think they have to be careful. That I think Britnell is actually really good at Swindon because he wasn't in the penalty box a lot, like Charlie said. And of course, you like to see Britnell throw the body, 100%. And he did throw the body at times, especially in playoffs. You saw a physical Britnell, but I think, as Charlie said, he's the guy now who's going to get him the goals, win him games, get the points, very offensive, and that's what they need to focus on, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's also going to be obviously depend on what sort of guys he's with on his line. Obviously, he didn't really in Swindon, like Charlie said, with the brick core around him. He
Yeah.
wasn't having all the pressure on him. Like this is an example going back to Basingstoke, we saw with Gale. Obviously, Gale was the guy, and everything went through Gale. Um, and sort of with Bricknell last season in Swindon, it was obviously he didn't have everything on him. He wasn't going out there on the ice. He didn't have to score all the goals. He didn't have to make all the plays because of the guys around him. Obviously, Bristol, we know they've not got a brick core like Swindon, like Charlie said again, and it's going to be interesting to see what Bricknell's like with because he is going to have that added pressure onto him because
Yeah.
Bristol are going to look at him as that guy, and obviously being the top goal scorer in the league is also going to bring that confidence in someone that they're going to believe that you're going to do it. So he's got to go out there now, and he's really got that pressure behind him that he's got to be the main guy in that team and really produce the offense. And it could potentially be some nights if he's not producing the offense, Bristol can't play their game, and they're sort of just going to be all going through Bricknell.
Yeah, we'll have to see who they do sign because obviously Harewood hasn't been announced yet. We'll
Yeah,
see
yeah,
whether he comes back. You get that extra import slot, so you'd assume they get another import forward as well. But yeah, it's a great signing. As for Swindon fans, been a lot of negativity. I made a little comment on the supporters group. I completely understand people being upset he's gone. Being one of your favourite players, it would be sad to see Charlie would be sad to see Malas go if Malas went, for example. But imports are replaceable, especially import forwards. They come and go every season, and you can replace them. You might not be able to replace the amount of goals which Britain got, but then you might be able to get someone who's going to be able to be that's import center. We don't know what the plan is. I hate all of the people thinking they know what happened. You don't know. It's between the club and Britnell, and whatever happened, he signed a 2 year deal in Bristol now, and good for him, man. He's a nice guy. I really enjoyed spending the season with him at Swindon. But you got to move on now, and you've got to support the new ones which come in, and we've already signed Ben O'Connor who's come in, who's going to be ridiculous anyway. So yeah, it's imports come and go. That's what I'd say to the Swindon fans. And we got three import slots or four import slots. We haven't even announced an import yet, so we'll have to see. On to the next signing then, because we've still got some to go through. Quickly, Jake Sylvester, 2 year deal. I don't think we were going to see him go anywhere else, Charlie. Just quickly on him. He's guaranteed goals. It's a good little re-signing for Romford, and nice to see him on a 2 year deal as well.
Yeah, if Romford didn't get him, there'd be worries. Like they need a guy like him in their top six. He's a big, heavy points carrier for their Brits. He's probably one of the most natural goal scorers British players in the league.
Yeah.
He dangles in slow motion. He's an excellent player to watch. And fun fact about Jake Sylvester. Before the game, when I was a couple years ago, we know each other a little bit, and I went up to him and I said, "If you score today, do the Ronaldo C." And he scored, and right in front of my corner, I'm not kidding, literally right in front of the board, he did the Ronaldo celebration in front of me. A really nice guy, love Jake Sylvester, and cracking sign him.
Yeah, yeah, it's guaranteed goals for Romford. Yeah, he wasn't going anywhere. And then someone else who probably wasn't going to go anywhere, the captain of the Seahawks stand, Bobby Chamberlain, back for another 2 years. Obviously he would have been gutted he missed that playoffs with what happened is what happened. So I can imagine Bobby Chamberlain's going to come out even better this season. And Hull will be desperate to win something this season, won't they? And I think Bobby Chamberlain would have learnt from what happened in Bristol. I don't think he will do something like that again. He might do, who knows? But I don't think he will. And it's another really good signing for Hull, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, looking at Bobby Chamberlain's year last year, like he's only going to be able to grow on that. He is obviously coming in sort of his his sort of prime era now. He's sort of what is he now, like nearly getting to 30? What is he now?
I think he's 30.
Yeah, so he's getting into his prime years. So, and Hull is the place where he plays. Like Hull is his team. He puts everything out there for the team. I'd imagine he'll be captain again. I can't see him changing the captaincy. I think that's a perfect guy to have it. And I think what we saw from him last year with that captaincy role, I think, I think it's just a no-brainer to carry on with that. And like you said, that team, that group, they want to win trophies. So they sort of they haven't won a trophy since they've been back as the Seahawks, and they've got so close the past 2 years. So they're going to really want to be fighting for that, and they're going to really buy into anything that they've got planned. And Bobby's the perfect guy to be a leader of that group to really get them some silverware this year.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they're going to be gunning for it. They have to make playoffs as well. They haven't made it the last couple of years, so they've got to make it. I know that's a long time away, but it will be in the back of their minds to make playoffs. Jordan County, this is probably one of the best re-signings Milton Keynes could have made, Charlie. For me, it was their player of the season last season. He was their top point scorer. He proved, I think, as the season went on, he got more and more used to our league, and yeah, he could still play in the Elite League, I think, quite comfortably. But yeah, that's a great re-signing for Milton Keynes, isn't it?
Yeah, he was a big difference maker this year, and he had a phenomenal playoff run for them as well, which was the cup they ended up finishing off, which I'm sure they know about. Yeah, it was a good little player last year. Well, little massive player, and I feel like the second half of the year he really found his feet in the league, and kind of some players who come down from the Elite League, it takes them a bit of time to adapt to the amount of points which get scored in this league. I think County was one of them, and in the second half of the year, we really started to understand that. And I think the thing which always stands out to me about County, he skates so powerfully. He almost reminds me, and I know it's a very drass one, but the way McKinnon skates in real life, they just power and speed, and they go at you, and they want to take you on by going after you. It's a very different type of speed to Howlett speed, and I really like watching County play. Apart from the fact he's in an MK shirt, so that's the only annoying thing about him signing there. But I think it was kind of a must re-signing. Bring back one of the big boys who's helped you win playoffs, and bringing him back was good. And from what I saw as well on the Instagrams, he gets along with a lot of the younger players. So I can imagine he's a bit of a mentor in that dressing room with the experience he's had playing in the Elite League. And I don't think he ever played for GB though. I was going
No,
to
I
say
don't think he actually
GB,
did
but I
get a
don't think
shot
he
with
ever got the
GB.
opportunity. But he's the type of guy who was very on the borderline, I can imagine.
Yeah, Dan, I think he's a massive part of why Milton Keynes got silverware. I think we said throughout the season this just feels like a different Milton Keynes. I think Jordan County is that. When you've got a 1-2 punch brick core of County and Venus, you've got something special, and it did live up to it. And he could just produce moments on its own. I remember that first goal against Leeds, just had one chance, opened the score and sniped it top left corner. And I believe he scored in the final as well. So he's just a clutch player and probably one of the best Brits in the league.
Yeah, I mean, MK are in that position where they've got these Brits that can put up import numbers, and County's one of those guys, and they're in a very nice position, especially with the four imports coming in. They can sort of they know they've got a County, so they don't have to go for like a sort of all out import goal scorer. They can go for a different style of import because of the Brits that they've got. But yeah, I'm sure County was number one on the list of re-signings for that team because Brit goal scorers like that, they're hard to come by, and obviously the mainly good ones are in the elite league. So having them down into the national league is a yeah, definite re-signing for anyone really.
I believe as well, he's like 30. He's not even like an old Brit, like
He's younger than
35
30.
years. Huh?
I think he's younger than 30.
He might be 29 years old, which is just, yeah, he's 29. He's kind of in his prime, and you can see why. So just a really good re-signing for Milton Keynes. A player who's left is Reese Edwards to the D-side Dragons. Is it D-side Dragons?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously Jake Witkowski, the player coach slash director of the club now. And that's a really nice little move for him. I know a few Hull fans are a bit upset, but I don't mind that. He's shown he's got talent, but I think he just needs a bit more time in the men's league. And I think dropping down a league to D side, where he's also going to be playing with some really good players. He's going to be playing alongside Jake Witkowski as well, so he can learn from him. A couple years maybe in that league, and I think he'll be able to turn into a pretty solid National League player. So he's left the Seahawks, but I can only imagine it's going to be good development for him at D side. Um, Dan, one of your lookalikes, I think one of your lookalikes, Mr. Hepburn. Let us know in the comments. Does Dan
No,
look a
I
tad
don't
like
see it.
Hepburn?
I don't see it.
And it's curling.
Well, yeah, the main one's curling. We think he looks a bit like
A
curling. I think
bit. He's
that's
like half twin curling.
yeah, it's half twin curling. But Hepburn has re-signed for Solway, which completes their goalie tandem. They're going with the same one of Mar and Hepburn. I don't think they were going to change that one. So Hepburn is back, and he did get a few games last season. Obviously, Mar's going to be a starter, but I think he is kind of that backup level, but a good backup level in the league, Charlie. If Solway need him to come in.
Yeah, I think so. It does mean like officially confirmed. I didn't think they were going to go the route, but there's always a possibility that they are going to have another import outfield, and they haven't
Yeah.
used any imports on their goalie, so they're going to have another D. But my guess would probably be a forward.
Yeah.
And so that's good for them. But yeah, Hepburn's a good backup. He can definitely play games. And I think he's, especially with Jordan getting a bit older, I think Hepburn will have to play a slightly bigger role than he did this season. I think he'll probably have to take on, it's a 54 game season. I'll probably say around 20 games, Callum Hepburn. I think you'd want to take away a bit of the role from Jordan Marr. I think Solway are a team which probably has quite a few shots a night on them, one of the higher end. So I think giving Jordan some nights off and rotating your goalie tandem, I think it will be quite a big season for Hepburn.
Yeah, there was a few rumours. I'm not sure if they've been confirmed that Solway might have to start their season next season on the road. We'll have to see. I was thinking more the 10-15 mark if Solway really want to go for that playoffs. I don't know. I don't know how many games he played
Depends what
last
level he can
season.
get to as well.
What's that? Sorry.
He's still not the oldest keeper in the world, so if he has a big couple games, you're always going to start the guy on.
Yeah,
But he's a guy who can get hot, and if he gets hot, he'll get his opportunity.
yeah. But Dan, I think we were saying Solway might be starting on the road, so that is somewhere where you would maybe change your netminder now and again. But we'll have to see as it gets closer to the season. Edgar's Bebris back with the Swindon Wildcats. There was a few rumours, I'm not going to lie, that he might be going elsewhere, but no, he's signing in Swindon. He won't be going anywhere else. And the news out of that one is he's playing as a forward this season. He's going back to the forward, which we've had a long discussion, me and Charlie. So I'll ask you, Dan. I think he's obviously played D the last couple seasons, and we've actually rated him quite highly as the D, especially with the lack of solid British D. I think it was needed for Swindon, especially in that first season he went to D, where he actually probably got a bit too much responsibility considering he'd come from a forward to now he's the number one D man in the team. So he's going back to forward, and I think with the signing of Ben O'Connor, you've got Bradley as well, two quite offensive defensemen. You then assume we sign an import defenseman, um, and you've got Pluzzi as well. I think putting him back at forward, it's not the worst idea. And obviously, Nell's decided to say that he's putting him back at forward, and I'm excited for it. I think it adds that even bigger physicality up top now. And you don't have to worry about D because you've got a big defenseman in Ben O'Connor.
Yeah, I think it's a good move moving Eddie into forward. Um, yeah, like you said, as much as we've liked watching him in D, obviously he's a very strong guy at the back. Now he can put that strength into a different style. He can start going in on the forecheck. He can obviously get the pucks out the corners. He can be that guy that can go and retrieve pucks and feed it into the slot for the guys. Because that's the way Swindon like to play. They like having that guy there in the slot area that's getting pucks through. And if you want anyone to go into a board battle with, it's going to be Eddie
Good luck
because
getting the puck off him.
yeah, exactly. He always comes out with the puck. He'll either hold the puck in the corner and come out of it, or he'll go into the corner and come out of it. So, yeah, he's definitely a guy that is going to be effective in forward. It'll be interesting to see where he slots in. But he's a guy that can slot in on any line depending on the scenario. which also adds to the versatility that he's got. He can be used on sort of any sort of line. If you had an injury in D halfway through the game, you've got him to drop back into D. He can go anywhere, and that players like that are so useful because they can do a job everywhere they are. And yeah, having a guy like that is a very good re-signing for Swindon.
Yeah, I think it creates a bit of forward depth as well, bit of physicality, a bit of height to that forward core, to make us hard to play
Power as well.
against. What's
He's a
what's that?
power forward, so he adds that bit of
Yeah,
power.
And
yeah,
he's got a good shot on him as well.
yeah. He's the one against Milton Keynes just sniping it. I think with
Once every season in playoffs, he cuts down the left hand side and then snipes it far right. Every single playoffs, consistently every single year, and it's always a massive goal. I never
He
understood.
doesn't do it in commentary though, does he?
No, he did not score in coughs. No, Dan. No chirping, right? Don't get too with your boots on Basingstoke back. But
You are literally our little brother. That's what you are. You're our little brother.
uh,
right. Let's get on to Basingstoke. They are next
oh,
on my list. And it was announced that four players from the Bees left, which was Mogg, Morris, Wilstead, and Hallam Wilson. Then two players from the Raiders were announced they weren't returning, Norcliffe and Relf. And you went to the Basingstoke Bison little meetup with Steve and Rob, where they updated you on the club, Dan. And all of a sudden, seven signings announced at once. Bang, 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 bang. And all four of those Bees players, and then the two former Romford ones as signed for Basingstoke, and Zach Milton as well. So we'll go through them quickly. The four Bees ones, Hallam Wilson, a tough one season for him, obviously with injuries. But he played in Basingstoke before, didn't he, Dan? That's where he's played his whole career. So I think with him being fully fit, there's a role for him in that team, on like a third line grinder kind of role for him to just try and get back into the swing of things in the national.
yeah, I'm pretty sure his wife was also pregnant through the
Oh, okay.
season last year, so he's also like missing games because of that. Um, but yeah, like you said, Basingstoke's his home. He lives in Basingstoke. He's going to be able to put more time into
Yeah.
Basingstoke now. He can really sort of focus on his game. This is where he wants to play. And yeah, like you say, he's a perfect sort of third line, fourth line grinder guy that can just slot in and just be that little rat that can get under people's skin.
Yeah. Another rat, Charlie, is probably the Rat King, Mr. Liam Morris. And he's joined back to the Bison. I know he's buzzing about that. He was one who was actually there, Dan, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Put in
so
the
was Hallam.
jersey. And
Hallam was there as well.
Hallam and
Yeah,
Mogg as well. We'll get to in a sec.
yeah.
But yeah, Morris forward. He could play forward. He could play D. He might be getting a bit older, but he's not going to lose his pace too much. So it's a solid signing to get Morris back. I think that was probably one of the nailed on ones, wasn't it?
Yeah, he won't lose his pace and he won't lose his passion either. He knows what Basingstoke, he knows what it means to be a Basingstoke player. Like I tweeted out, he's going to put 100% in every shift. He'll play for the crowd. He'll play for the badge. And yeah, I think everyone sort of knew he was coming back from his little speech that he said at the start. He knew he was coming back himself. So yeah, it's good to see him back in a Bison jersey.
Morris and Wilson, I'd say, have what I'd call the Bison DNA. They will run through a brick wall for the badge. They're not the cleanest of hockey teams. I think it's fair to say that. And if they're losing, they make it known they're losing. And I think that's important because I think the Bison fans like that. And I think Morris and Wilson are what you'd call dressing room tone setters. That, for example, let's say on a Saturday night at home, you get pumped by Romford. Morris and Wilson aren't going to sit there and allow it. And them sort of players, I think, are important to a newer team, which is now rebuilding and starting the core pieces again because they know what it means to play for Basingstoke. They love the fans, and I think, although maybe someone like Wilson and Morris, to be fair, now they may not play the biggest of roles on the ice. They play a role which is unvaluable, which is setting the culture of the team. And I think them signings can go under the radar sometimes.
Yeah, you need them in the team. I'm sure that's what Steve was looking at re-signing them. Mogg is back. He's cool as you like back there. He's going to get you points. He's going to be able to defend the top guys on other teams. And Dan, I know you were buzzing to see him back, especially crying out for Brit defenseman. That's the kind of D man you want in Bison, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, since sort of Coventry weekend, really, we've all been talking, and sort of we've all come to this decision that like Mog would be a massive signing for Basingstoke. Obviously, like you said, with the Brit D, and yeah, I think he was either going to either retire or go to Basingstoke. I think that's sort of the only way we would have seen it going. But yeah, I'm just happy that it's been confirmed, and yeah, I'm excited to see him back in a Bison jersey. And obviously, I've seen how much he's improved since he's left Basingstoke 7 years ago. So he's going to make a massive difference to that D core now, and he's going to be a big piece to that D as well. And like you say, he's another Brit D man that can play at this level. And yeah, he's just come on leaps and bounds since the last time he was in a Bison jersey.
Yeah. He's been around this league for ages. And then the one I'm excited for, Will Stead.
Oh yeah,
Buzzing for that one. Well, I don't say I'm buzzing for that one. You should be the one. You're the one buzzing for it. But he's can put his guaranteed goals at Will Stead. You know he's going to get in the dirty areas. He's going to get right in front of the keeper. He might not score your highlight reel goals, but he's guaranteed goals, Dan. He'll probably get onto that top six, I'd imagine, maybe second line winger. But yeah, that's one of the best signings I think you could have made from the Bees.
yeah, 100%. I mean, a few years ago we saw with Doughty. Doughty was a guy like that. He was
Yeah.
sort of getting to the dirty areas before he got obviously his tough injury, but he got into the tough areas, got into the dirty areas, and Wolstead is a perfect guy for that. He grinds for his goals. He grinds for every part of his shift. He is another guy that'll put 110% in every time. He loves obviously he loves playing, he loves getting his goals, and yeah, I think he's going to be one of those guys that are going to really grow into that team. He might have a slow start because obviously it's a new team, new sort of environment around him, but I think he's going to definitely be a fan favorite by the end of the year for sure.
Yeah, he's going with some friends as well, so
Yeah, yeah.
it won't be like completely new for
I
him.
mean, we're going to welcome him perfectly into Basingstoke.
I'm sure you will. Charlie, probably the biggest one of the lot. Spent the season in the Elite League last year. Zach Milton. In fact, I think he found it quite tough, but then he was played on a fourth line, and that's not his game really in the national, is it? He's a top line centre. He can play winger if you need him to. He's a power forward, but he does the defensive work as well. He was obviously he was the main guy, the main Brit for Bison before they folded, and now they're back, obviously. But he was the main guy for them then, and he's going to be the main guy for them now, isn't he?
Yeah, I think good on him for attempting the Elite League. Like good on him.
Yeah,
Good on him for going
Mhm.
for it. And it didn't quite work out, but one thing I had a lot of respect for is he stuck with it the whole year and he didn't leave.
yeah.
And I think he got a goal like
He got
in
his
his
goal right at
second
the end
last
of the
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
season,
Last game.
And you saw how much that meant to him.
and the rest of the team as well.
Yeah, he probably worked really hard that season, and I get it. Like he's given it a go, and maybe he'll go back there again in the future and give it another shot. But he gave it a go, and I think that's what I respect that from players. I really do. And then he was like, Basingstoke are back, home is back. I'm going home, and I think it's one of the biggest reset. Him and Mog for me were the two huge ones. Mog because he's a top D underrated guy, and Milton because any team would have him in their top six. Any team. He suits the National
I
League
bet
as
there's a
like
lot of
a glove.
teams wanting him as well.
And he's only 23. Like he's still really young. He could be a part of this Basingstoke core for a long time if he wants to be. And one thing which me and Dan always love about Milton is he's great at playing with imports. He always plays well with imports at our league. He loved playing with Gale, and then the year before that, who did he love playing
Roberts.
with? Dan? Roberts, yeah,
Roberts.
he's on the line with Roberts. He's always been the guy who plays with imports. Again, another guy who just gets what it means to play for Basingstoke and will just be itching to get on the ice and playing big minutes again, power play minutes. You just know he's ready for that. And I think put him with a good import and maybe a Brit or maybe two imports. And I think you're going to have a happy Zach Milton who's going to be hungry to kind of get back on the point sheet. I think that's what I'm excited for with Zach Milton is he stuck it out in the Elite League. Like we said, a lot of respect to him. And hopefully he gets the reward of all that training he did in the Elite League and he can cook this year. I want Basingstoke to do well. I want Basingstoke to do well because we all know Dan, and we I'd like them to do successful, and they're
Not
owned
against
by
us.
my favorite owners.
Yeah, well, I guess we've got the same owners. Two more signings then from the Raiders. But Norcliffe obviously was your captain, Dan. Before you guys went bust, but then you're back. Sorry, I keep saying the word bust.
But
Is that the right word? Before you went
uh,
down. Before you went
we
down, that's the right word.
we
Before
took
the
a
ring
break.
blew up.
We
Yeah,
took a
before you had a
break.
break. But either way, Norcliffe comes in. I actually don't know who's going to be your captain. You've got Mogg,
Yeah,
you've got Norcliffe, you've got Morris, um, you got Milton, I think was who had the A last
yeah.
time.
Milton was an A, Morris was an
So
A,
you've got plenty
Norcliffe
of
was
leaders in
captain.
that team. But Norcliffe is probably going to be one of them who put his hand up to be that captain.
Yeah, I think Norcliffe was one of the nailed on guys as well. I couldn't see him going anywhere
We all
else.
were all saying he was going to come back.
Yeah, he loved it at Basingstoke. Basingstoke was a team that really gave him that shot. Obviously, he joined from Bees, having like a tough year, and he sort of found his game in Basingstoke, and that's sort of what he's going by, and sort of he wants to obviously grow his game more, and obviously Basingstoke is a place he can do that. And yeah, it's going to be good to see Norcliffe back in Basingstoke. Obviously, I've been watching him in Romford and seeing him play against Swindon, but now it's going to be nice seeing him on my team.
Yeah, I think it's good that he went back to Romford, and not stuck a whole season in
Yeah, yeah.
Streatham. I
Going
think,
back into the national, yeah.
yeah, he kind of ended the season in the National. He's going to be going back into the National. And then the final signing, we'll cut into the interview in a second, but it is Relf. And this is one which will go under the radar, I think,
Hmm.
especially with the cry out for solid Brit defensemen in this league. He says in the interview, it feels like he's been around for ages, but he still feels like one of the young guys. And he's been in this league for years, years. He come into it when he was just 16 with the Bees, and then he was with the Steeldogs. So it's just a great signing, isn't it, Charlie? You've
Yeah.
got the stability in Mog and Ralph now.
I think it was the least expected one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
100%.
probably would agree. I don't think anyone saw Ralph coming on the cards. He's been at Romford for a while now, but just a very, very shrewd piece of business. As we've said so many times on this podcast, there's a lack of Brit D, and you brought in two really experienced guys who have both played a lot of ice in the last 2 years, both playing top four roles and doing well in them top four roles. For me, he was Romford's best D man last year potentially, and you've just taken Romford's best D. That's no statement, and then you've just taken Bees' best D man. So it's no mess about right there. And Ralph is just a very defensively reliable guy. Last year he didn't get many points at all, but he has had seasons where
He had
he
to focus on the defense, really, didn't he?
yeah, and just a very shrewd piece of business. I think you've added two top four pieces of D right there in Ralph and Mog. You've got an import to add in, and yeah, so it's great signing. And let's hear what Ralph has to say.
Yeah, we'll get on to the Relf interview now, and then once you guys come back, we've got five more sign-ins to go through. So enjoy the interview with Ralph. It was a really good one. I'll see you in a minute. Hello and welcome back. I'm joined by a special guest who's just signed for the Basingstoke Bison, but he's been a part of quite a few teams, the Sheffield Steeldogs, the Bees, where he grew up, and of course the last few seasons at the Raiders. I'm joined by Thomas Ralph. Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, no worries. Good to be here.
How are you feeling today? Obviously, the news come out the other day. I'll get into it in a bit, but you've signed for the Basingstoke Bison, an exciting project.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's good that it's come out. The stress of like early summer is now past. So yeah, it's now nice to know that everything is sorted, everything is in place, and I get to enjoy the rest of the summer until season kicks off, really.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. It's announced at the start, and now you can
Yeah.
get on with your summer.
Sit back, relax.
We'll take it back to the start then. Obviously, you were a Bracknell junior. How was that? Obviously, going through the Bracknell system, it's sad to see what's happening with them at the moment, obviously, and we're still a bit under the water what's going on with them, but it doesn't look great at the moment. But Bracknell's been such a big part of British ice hockey. So how was that coming through their junior system?
Yeah, like I said, first thing, hopefully they can get whatever they need to do to get sorted. They have got such a big history in
Yeah.
British ice hockey, and having the bees around, especially when they're like competing and doing well, I think is vital for British ice hockey. So first thing, hopefully they can get sorted and get back up and running. But yeah, no, when I was younger, like at the John Nike Leisure Centre, it was a good fun time. I remember like lots of different memories from playing juniors there to my first like EPL game and everything. And then I was not there when they moved to Slough, but yeah, it's a cool club, and like I hope they get up and running because it's tied to me and I always look back fondly with them. And yeah, it was definitely a good experience for me and something that I look back fondly with.
What was that first season like, them playing with the Bracknell Bees in the EPL? Because obviously I first started watching back in the EPL, and it was a very physical, hard-hitting league. You had a lot of big imports as well, European. So what was that kind of first season like in the EPL for you?
Yeah, definitely interesting. Like I said, I think I got my height by then, but I definitely not grown out. So I was very
Yeah.
tall and skinny. So I don't think I fit in straight away with the physicality. But no, my first game was up in Manchester, and
Oh
I
wow.
took a slap shot to the chest from Frank Bakalik,
I
which
was about
yeah,
to come on to him. Go on,
yeah,
carry on.
so he's intertwined with my EPL career because he gave me like a slap touch to the chest and then I was coughing up blood and I came to the bench and Lucas Smittle was the coach of the Bees at the time and I think we were losing like quite substantially and it was 6, 7 minutes left of the game and he looked at me like right you're going back out and so I took a stride out and then like spat up blood and I was like I'm not going like I can't do it. So no, it was good for me because at the time when the bees, well, when I just turned 16, I started training with the bees when I was 15. I
Wow.
turned 16 and started playing straight away because that was the year the bees like started losing money. So then
Yeah.
players left, and then it just gave me an opportunity just to go straight into it, get some ice time. And Smits was a really good coach. Like I look back now thinking I didn't like him at the time because he run me hard and he was quite like demanding, but it was so good because my development from him is really like progressed me throughout my career.
You,
So
you
no, it was good at the time.
you can see obviously this season with Slough, a really young team. Obviously, you've got the likes of Lydia who's there as well.
Yeah.
But he's shown that he can be a really good coach with those younger players who kind of buy into his system. Would you say that was your welcome to the kind of the big leagues moment then? Bakalik, I remember it. I was a 12, 13-year-old me watch it. I was actually scared of him. He was that big,
Yeah.
6'5". To this day still think he's got the hardest shot I've ever seen in British ice hockey. So was that
Yeah.
kind of your welcome to the EPL moment?
Yeah, I can confirm he does have a hard shot. But no, it was definitely something I will remember forever, for good or bad reasons. But no, it was quite funny because I think it was the year after he came to Bracknell. We got taken over by Red Hockey or
Yeah.
something like that, and then he came to Bracknell. Obviously, he knew nothing about what he did to me, but I remember as a 17-year-old being like, "You hurt me quite a bit." But no, it was like yeah, that's the thing I remember vividly, and it was obviously my first game, so it's easy to remember them both.
Yeah. You obviously then played for the GB under 18s, that tournament. If we go through it actually, quickly clicking onto it, we do have a few players who are still kicking around. Cole Shudra being one of them, Liam Kirk, Matt Cowlett, Gulliver as well. Carl Smith's in there. I remember Carl Smith for Swindon, the
Yeah,
young lad. He loved to drop the gloves. But yeah, what
yeah.
was that experience like, getting your first opportunity to play for your country?
Yeah, no, like really good group of lads. Like I still speak with quite a few of them today, and obviously seeing a few around the league, it's nice to like just see them and hang out with them. But no, a good group of lads. We went off to Romania, so it was like
Oh,
it
nice. It
was
was
a
just in
yeah.
Romania, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it was in the same place,
Yeah.
but like it was a really cool experience and like again something that I look back on as quite proud at, like getting to represent your nation at a like world championship is of any level is still quite cool. So no, it was good and like you say, I got to play with like some really elite players and like yeah, some that are still in our league, some that have gone up to higher, and everyone's still kicking about and still
Well,
performing
one of
well.
them, when you moved to the Steeldogs, obviously you moved up north, you come up with Liam Kirk. How was that? he's probably he is our best player in
Yeah.
our country. We were just talking off recording there. He's just won the playoffs of Berlin, then gets gold with GB. Could you tell from the very start just how talented he was?
Yeah, so my first year in Sheffield, I think he was 16. He was in the same position I was, literally just turned 16, and we were just like, right, play him. And by the end of the year, he was our top point scoring Brit. And so, like coming into the EPL at 16 and being the Steeldogs top lead in Brit was like a clear indication that
Over a point per game.
yeah, like he was too good for the league at that age. So I think yeah, the year after he went for the Steelers and then he got drafted and then obviously went abroad. But yeah, he's been so good from like such a young age. Obviously, he was a bit smaller then. I'm pretty sure he's grown out into a bit more of a well-rounded adult. But no, he's a good lad as well. And yeah, he's definitely like the best player I've played with from a Brit point of view.
Yeah. Oh, well, you spent the next is it 4 seasons at the Steeldogs? How was that playing with them? Obviously, oh, that's how I know them now. Obviously, they've changed, got that allegiance with the Steelers now. But it was such a tight knit team. So many of those players just re-signing every single season. And you can see why they kept signing back because it seemed to be a really well bonded team together.
Yeah, like they had all come up through juniors together. And then when I went up, I think I was like one of two people that was just signed from like a different team or a different area.
Yeah.
And being 18 and just going to uni, like the elder lads like Tim Smith, Lewis Bell, Ben Morgan, kind of just like adopted me and were just kind of
Oh,
like, oh, well, like we can give you a home if you need anything like that, or like if you need a meal or anything like that as a poor student, just come around to ours. So no, it was really good fun. Obviously it's great facility up there as well. And the thing that made it was like a really tight knit family. So you go in, you spend your trainings, everything, and then people were asking about away from hockey and everything like that. So no, it again, when I see those people up in Sheffield that are still there, it's something that I just ask them about how their actual life and everything is because like they are great people. They're really good at hockey. Like Ben Morgan is probably one of the
oh,
best Brit defenders that have been in
solid as
this
well.
league
Yeah.
forever. So being able to play with him for 4 years and kind of learn off him. And then my last like little stint in Sheffield was that COVID Cup where we
Yeah.
had all like the Steelers players come down, like
Ben
Ben Lake.
O'Connor played for Sheffield.
Yeah. So the good thing about that was Ben O'Connor was like my D partner for half the games. So
Really?
yeah, for me it was great because I would like just give him the puck. He would give the puck to Ben Lake. Ben Lake would give it to Kirky, and we would score. And I'll be like, this is very easy ice hockey. Like this is
I
great.
remember a game down in Swindon because obviously we could only watch the streams.
Yeah.
Sheffield beat Swindon by like a couple goals. Kirky scored 5 goals in it. It
Yeah.
was a
Like
cheat
that
code having him in the tournament.
that was probably the easiest ice hockey team I've ever played on. Like I didn't play that much, but it was fine by me because I would just watch the puck go round and like they're all a different class. And the other teams have picked up maybe one or two elite league players or something. And I think we had like 8 or 9. And so it was like great fun and like just learning little things from them. I
Yeah.
think it was only like 5, 6 weeks, but having the opportunity to train with them like 2 times a week, it was like again another thing that kind of progressed me on. And it'll be fun to see Ben like playing for Swindon.
I
Obviously,
know.
not that fun because of what he's done with GB, but no, it's like it's fun just to be like, right, okay, this league's getting a bit better. He's coming down, which will make them better and the league. So no, it's good.
No, as you just said, it's really nice to see a lot of these elite. We've got Josh Batch as well. CJ Garcia just signed for Sheffield, so we're getting a lot of these elite league players. I think a lot of people are clicking on that the level is just going up and up and up,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Well, you could tell like Brownie is finally being let into the GB team,
Yeah.
and he's been like in this league producing at the level he has been for a couple of years. Like Cole was really good in this league, and then
Oh,
has taken a
he's
step
so
into
good.
the elite league and just been flying from there. So like that gap is closing. Obviously, you've still got the big difference in import numbers, but like
Yeah.
the top end British talent in this league is closing the gap to the elite league, and so it is definitely making it a bit more attractive for people to come back down, but
Yeah.
also making it better for the people that are going up, like
I
to
For
take it a
me, I
bit
think
further.
there was a when the national first come back. I think there was it still is now. I think there's a big gap between Brit defensemen and a lot of British forwards. So I think
Mhm.
it's actually quite good to see the likes of Batch, O'Connor, a few more defensemen at that top level drop into our league. So for yourself, you were saying that you were able to learn off O'Connor, and for some of these other younger lads in the national, it will be nice for them to learn. Like a couple, White, say for example, will be
Yeah.
able to learn quite a lot from Josh Batch as he's come down as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is just like having time with the cream of the crop is so valuable.
Yeah.
So like the people in Swindon and Bristol with those two examples, CJ Garcia is I would say give Morgs a few tips, but I don't think he needs many. But like any younger like Sam Cooper,
Sam Cooper,
up at,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he's gonna take his lessons from both Morgs and CJ Garcia, and then hopefully that propels him because again he's a young up and coming talent, and hopefully he can then like replace these lot going into GB.
I think, yeah, because back, sorry, we're going off topic, but back in the EPL, when you were a young lad, you saw that so much in the EPL. A lot of
Yeah,
these young, like Ollie Betteridge, for example, with Swindon, he come in when he was really young, and
yeah,
he was able to play with these top players. And obviously, getting that extra import slot in as well, you're playing with someone better. So I just think it's slowly going in the right direction. The national, there's always stuff to improve on, but
yeah,
from a
exactly.
player's point of view, do you see that as well? The slight improvements.
Yeah, no, I think like even like at the local club levels, you can tell that they're becoming more professional, becoming more
Yeah,
serious, and like treating even like the local people that have been there 5, 6 years, and like the club's building with the league, and
yeah.
so like that's a good sign. And then the league in general is just attracting that more higher quality players, so it is trending in the right like direction, and this is all good news for the players, the fans, like everyone that's involved with it, really.
And yeah, the fan bases are growing, and we'll get on to the Raiders now. Then, obviously after that COVID kind of bubble, you signed for the Romford Raiders. They made the step up fully to the national. How did that move come about?
Yeah, so I took a job. Obviously, I was in university in Sheffield. Took a job
Yeah,
in London, so moved back down south.
oh nice.
And then yeah, Sean Easton, who I'd known from juniors and like through the GB system, had reached out basically saying like, "Oh, I hear you're coming. Would you like to come to Raiders?" And yeah, I saw it as like another opportunity where I could get good ice time. I knew like a few of the core from
Yeah,
like juniors like Jake Sylvester, Callum Wells. So it's like you're walking into a room of people that you know, which makes it comfortable. But yeah, no, it was an easy decision for me to go to Raiders, and yeah, it started of like a good 3, 4 year stint there.
I think obviously you've had the final, the playoff final, obviously just coming up short, but you guys ran leads right until the last. I always keep saying if there was another 5 to 10 minutes on, I do think you would have got that goal to equalise,
Yeah.
and then obviously leads in the final. So you can see the progression which Romford are taking when you were playing it there, and obviously you were there for 4 years, so I'm sure you've seen the progression of the players as well.
Yeah, like I think both the final, obviously both against Leeds, I think they're pretty much a carbon copy
I
of
know.
we let Leeds kind of just do what Leeds are very good at and what they should do. And
Yeah.
then we kind of like say we get into it, and then the last 10 minutes of both, we were kind of just like, right, if it goes on for 15 minutes, we're winning it. But no, both really good experiences, and like you can't fault Leeds because they are a great team. It's a shame that we couldn't put it over the line and we
Yeah.
couldn't get that better start in either. But regardless, yeah, the Raiders are definitely like a team that have progressed over my 4 years and become like a better, more stable, more serious team.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I think it's a shame that in my 4 years that I've just been, we didn't win anything. But like regardless, people like Cooper have got better every year.
Yeah.
TJ, coming from a young age, has got better every year.
Yeah.
Jakey is still like an elite goal scorer. So
Yeah.
yeah, they've got like a good core base that they can like progress forward with.
I have to ask about one player from Romford. He was my favourite player, which was a Swindon player last season. I think he was the best forward in the league. But Shaw Miller was a joke.
Yeah.
I bet you seeing him training every day as well. I'm not saying he carried the team, but in moments he would carry and get you guys through it. And Shuey, I think, was the perfect complement player as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
talk about Shaw Miller because we gassed him out so much on the podcast last season.
Yeah, no, like you say, I think he and Shuey were probably two of the better imports in the league, and having like one of them would be on, one of them would be off, but it would still like progress us both through. Millsy's so quick and so like just smooth skating. And so like you would see him just pick up the puck, his head is up, and then obviously he's just like looking around, and the way he's just like caressing his feet around the ice, and then he would like take a shot that looks so slow, but the puck would just zing off at like
Yeah,
100 miles an hour, and you're just like, how is this guy doing it?
yeah.
But no, he's a great guy, great ice hockey player. Like you, I think you're well in your like opinion that he was probably the best import in the league last year.
Well, I think one of the things which Leishman brought to the Raiders last season was he didn't get the import signings. He got them bang on, really, didn't he? Even
Yeah.
when Reed Morrison come in, he was really good. When Yokoyama come in for that stint, he was really good. So he had a really good track record of bringing in good imports.
Yeah, exactly. You start off with probably the best input from the year before in Leishman.
Yeah,
Leishman's obviously really good and obviously just had really tough
yeah, tough
time.
year.
But then you bring in Shuey and Millsy. If you have those three running all year that are healthy, like it would have been again what we started off as is probably
Yeah.
what I think we would have progressed longer into the season with. But yeah, they're both jokes. Like Shuey and Millsy were both jokes. Lake is still a like really good player,
Yeah.
and so yeah, we really didn't miss on our imports last year.
Obviously this season then, and the news that Basingstoke come back, which is really good for the league as well, I think, because they've always been a long time team, little rivalry with Swindon as well. But
Yeah.
what was the decision then, obviously, to move to Basingstoke?
Yeah, I don't think I intended to move, or I definitely didn't plan to move away from the Raiders this year.
Yeah,
It was kind of a an opportunity to rise with the Bison, and yeah, I thought it was just a good opportunity for me to take and like start a new career in or within a different team. But yeah, no, it wasn't like one thing or over another. It was just kind of an opportunity arose, and I thought, why not, and just see where it takes me.
it does seem quite exciting. Obviously, they had their what would you call it? Little like meeting with
Yeah, the
Steve
fan
and
forum thing. Yeah.
yeah, Rob, and then they announced seven signings, bang, straight up, get them out the way, and you're going to be with Norcliffe. I think. Did you play with? Was Milton in the junior system in Bees,
No,
or
so I
was
played
he
with his.
just a bit after you were?
Yeah, so I think
Oh,
he's
you played
like.
with them at Romford. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah, I played with him at Romford.
yeah,
I played with his brothers or one of his brothers at Bracknell for 1 year. But
yeah,
no, yeah, played with him the 1 year in Romford,
yeah,
and then when he was there with Norks, obviously Norks was there last year with me as well in the Raiders. But yeah, and then like the other people that signed, like Hallam I'd played juniors with in like
oh, nice,
Southwest. Wilstead I grew up with
yeah,
in
long
Bracknell.
time Bees, yeah,
Yeah, Moggy and Mo, I've not actually played with, but obviously playing against them for many years. So I think it's a good start. Like it's a
yeah,
great
it's a
start
good
of
call.
solid, yeah, good start of solid Brits that are going to be there. And then it's going to be intriguing to see the news when other bits come out. And obviously, I'm not going to say whatever it
Yeah.
is. That's when they want to release everything. But no, it's exciting to see where the owners are taking it and where the Bison are going to go really, and they're starting from a blank canvas really.
Yeah,
So it's going to be really fun and like the the rebrand and all the news of everything where they want to take the club and the dedication to get the rink back into
yeah,
its standing order. Like it's positive, and again, it's another team that is coming back from like a rich history, and the Bison should be in the league just like the Bees. So
yeah.
again, it's really positive news, and yeah, I'm excited to be part of it.
I remember back in the day, my Basingstoke was actually my first away game, and
Mm.
that was when they had the stand open, so they had both
Yeah,
sides, and the away block used to be in the stands opposite.
yeah,
So hopefully all things goes well with the rink. They should have both of the sides going.
yeah,
That's going to
yeah,
be so cool to play in. Obviously a refurbished rink, hopefully with all the stands, because back in the day that used to be very loud.
yeah. I remember when it was the old EPL days when
Oh,
Basingstoke had like Aaron Connolly, Thomas Karpov, Dan
oh,
Scott. Like it was another loud, like
yeah,
really intense rink because on the side that hasn't been over for a couple of years, they are like literally on top of the plexi,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
directly above you. So being an away player and you've got your fans right there, all up and down, like surrounding, it will be really cool to see that place back to what it should be. So yeah, fingers crossed. Obviously, everything progresses throughout the summer, and
Yeah.
the plan is that we're there come September, hopefully.
Obviously, you're 27 years old. I'd say that's kind of your prime, would you say, or kind of your
Oh,
where you've peaked, not peaked, but
yeah.
you're
I'm
not
in my
young, but you're
years
not
where,
old, kind of
yeah,
thing.
exactly. Yeah,
Um,
I'm a young vet or a like I don't know. Yeah, like I say, I'm in that sweet spot where it's
yeah,
I've been in and around this league for yeah near enough 10 years now.
that's crazy.
Um,
Yeah,
I know, yeah. Like I still think I'm the young kid that is like needing to fight their way onto a team.
yeah,
And like the last couple of years, I've had like people like Marco Pascal and like Megas Canis, Brad Taylor, all the young D coming up like behind me, and I'm just there
yeah,
like, oh yeah, I'm not your age anymore. Like I am the old defenseman on the team, other than Elliot Dewey, who like is old, but and Sean Barry, both really old boys. But no, yeah, it's like I said, I'm in that sweet spot of I've got now the experience of playing in the league, and I still feel I've got like the physical young nature of me. So yeah, hopefully it carries on for a couple more years, but hopefully I'm not past my prime, like you're saying.
No, you're not past your prime. We'll come to an end then. Well, Charlie always ends with this question, but I'll ask it instead. What's kind of your message to the Romford fans? Obviously, you've been playing in front of for 4 years, so we'll start with that first.
Yeah, no, like I have nothing but love and gratitude for the people at Romford. Everyone treated me really well there, and yeah, obviously it's a shame that it's come to an end, but I'll only look back with like really fond memories, and I can only thank everyone for their time and their support while I was there. And again, back to my teammates, like yeah, they're all really good old lads, and I speak to them daily or still, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think for everyone that I've played with they'll know I'll still be there and I'll still talk to them. But yeah, it's good times from Romford.
Romford's one of them teams where everyone is just like that, and
Yeah,
it's everyone's like when you're at Sheffield, everyone's come through those junior
yeah,
systems. So
oh,
I
yeah. They've just been together for years and years. So yeah,
yeah.
no, everything's been good from Romford, and yeah, just yeah, good. Thank you for everyone.
And then a lot of Basingstoke fans who will be coming back to watch their team after a couple of years. Obviously, we have Dan on our podcast who's buzzing. He
Yeah,
can't wait for the season.
yeah.
But what's kind of your message to the Basingstoke fans? What can they expect from you?
Yeah, no, I was waiting to see the blue and yellow Bison shirt somewhere on there. But no, yeah, I'm like genuinely very excited to go to the Bison. I think it's going to be very exciting to get that rink back to full
Yeah,
capacity and put out a competitive team where obviously we know it's going to be a year one start, and
yeah,
like coming with a year one start is like some hurdles, and we're anticipating that like there will be a little bit of teething pains, but we're not coming in just to make up numbers and like kind of sit around. Like Steve now knows what he's doing with hockey clubs, and
yeah,
like that solid group of 7 players that have been announced all want to compete and are all very competitive players. So us as a group are going to be very competitive. We're going to want to challenge everyone. And so we're not just coming in just being like, right, the bike's in the back and we'll just see how it goes. So no, I'm very excited and it will be a fun year. I'm kind of hoping September's around the corner now, but I've got 3 months to wait.
yeah. Have you ever played in a green jersey? I think the Bison's jersey is a green one.
Yeah, no, I think the only one I can think of is the Raiders Christmas elf
Oh
jerseys
yeah,
that we had this year. But no, I think yeah, having green, I was there like yeah, I don't think I look good in
interesting
green, but
color. Yeah,
no, yeah, it'll be good. I like the new design and like it's
yeah,
a very cool like new start for the Bison. So I'm hoping a lot of the old time fans come back and really
yeah,
pack out that rink,
100%.
and then I'm pretty confident that we'll get a new base of fans that are like, okay, there's a team back in this town, and we're gonna go support them. So no, it's going to be an exciting time, and I think yeah, we're hopefully going to be very competitive from the start. So
Well,
it'll
so
be good.
Steve said, Dan obviously told us some of the stuff which was said there, and Steve said that they're going to be competitive next season. And
Yeah,
I think by the signings they've already announced, you can see a real kind of plan for next season. So hopefully everything get in place, and yeah, we'll be back to Bison away days next season. It's only
yeah, no,
35 minutes down the road for us, so
yeah,
be a
no,
good
I
little
can't wait.
rivalry.
It will be good. So yeah, it'll be nice to like I say start that rivalry with Swindon and any other local team that wants it. Really, we'll take anyone on.
Nice one, Thomas. Thanks for hopping on. Enjoy your summer. Now it's been announced, and
Yeah,
we'll see you in September. I'm sure we might maybe Swindon and Bison have a pre-season game. I'm not sure, but yeah, we'll see you in September.
yeah. See you later. Thanks for
Thanks,
having me
mate.
on.
Hello and welcome back. Thank you, Ralph, again for hopping on. We've got five more to go. Five more signings, three of which are imports, three of which got announced today. And we're starting with, I put a tweet out, Mr. Underrated. I don't think he really got spoke about last season, but he's definitely one of the top imports, Mr. Johnny Corneal for Hull. All three of us really like the way he plays, Dan. He's not got this, oh, I want to be the one to score the goals. I want to be the guy with the most points. He's the guy who's you want on the ice if you've got a one goal lead and you want to just kill off the game. He's also the guy on the ice who you want to just stick in the slot. He's the clever guy who's going to be able to put the puck away if you're needing a goal. And he did that many times last season. I think it was a no-brainer really for Matty Davies to get him back on a full-time, remember, because he still had that kind of not two-way, but Manchester could have done what Steelers did with Tremblay, where they just nick him again. But he's full-time with Hull now.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously pretty much had a year with Hull. Like it felt
Yeah.
like he was there for the year. Like he just fit in so well to that team. It didn't look like he sort of came halfway through or whatever it was. Um, but yeah, pretty much exactly what you said. The guy just comes with hockey IQ. Like the hockey IQ that he brings to that team is unreal. He's so clever. He doesn't when you watch him, he doesn't look like he's trying because he's just always in that right area. He doesn't have to sort of well, he doesn't have to move the puck. He doesn't have to get into like the dirty areas because he's just always in the perfect spot.
Yeah.
And the guys that he's with will always find him with the puck. And like you say, he can be Mr. Defensive. He can be Mr. Shut down a game, or he can be Mr. Clutch guy and really score those clutch goals in the last seconds of the game, which Hull loved doing last year.
Yeah, it's not like he can't get points, Charlie. He got over a point per game, 66 in 46 games. I think he just doesn't get talked about because you've got Sobchak, Svek, Chamberlain, who score all the points on that top line. But he's the main guy on that second line, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's flipping gross at penalty shots.
Oh, I forgot you to even mention that.
Yeah, he's the best penalty shot taker in the league. He's gross, man. I think he scored like five in a game against Swindon. I just remember this, and this was just quite funny. I just remember Matty Davies on the bench just wetting himself because it was like Corneal, Corneal, Corneal,
It was the
Corneal.
Cornel Bricknell bloody shootout, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Corneal won that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a good import. I think he does more work for that team than people think. It's a difficult job playing on a line when you're not on the line with your three best point scorers, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
which aren't Johnny Corneal. Hewitt and Bonner are no bad players, but they're not Bobby Chamberlain, Sobchak, and Svek. I think that's respectively fair to say. And then when Matty Davies, when things go wrong, he just shoves all three imports together and hopes for the best. And it seems to work pretty well. So yeah, I think it's a good signing. Like for me, he's their second best import. I think I would say he's probably better than Svek in my eyes. But I think Svek offers a different type of game where he gets you 50 goals and 50 assists, whereas Corneal offers this really all-rounded two-way game. But yeah, good re-signing. I probably expect them to re-sign Svek again as well. I can imagine they'll keep the same three forwards, but that's just a guess. But yeah, good re-signing for Hull.
Yeah,
And
I think all
just
three
don't go into a shootout with Hull because he's just
yeah.
annoying. Like genuinely, that game was so annoying. Like he just scored every penalty shot.
In
It's
the
brutal.
playoffs as well. I think he scored his shootout goal. But yeah, you're right. I think all three imports, you can have your preferences on which imports you prefer, but they all do different stuff. And I think the whole kind of need all those different kind of imports. Specs the goal scorer, Sobchak's a creator, and Cornell does everything else. So, yeah, it's a good re-signing for Hull. They've got two imports signed up at the moment, two out of the four. As we've said, Dan, we expect them to at least get a D-man import, I think, anyways. The team who has got a D-man import, they've announced it straight away, is the Romford Raiders, Mr. Jarrett Baker. He is going to be joining the Raiders, 6 foot, 205 pounds. He is a big boy. If you thought Garcia, he was 190, I think.
Yeah.
Jarrett's the same height, but he's 10 pounds bigger. And
First game of the season, centre ice, Garcia versus Jarrett.
imagine the two import. That would be unreal. But he's just finished his 4 seasons in the U Sports playing for the Dalhousie, I think, Univ. Where he in one season he got 142 pims. The season after he got 103. And then the final season he did lower it a bit and got 23. But on top of those pims, though, I know we're laughing. He managed to get 18 points and 10 points, 8 goals in that season with 142 pims. Just a crazy season. But we were saying, Charlie, obviously Romford didn't have an import D man last season. They need a bit of toughness, didn't they? They lacked that size, that physicality. They lost Wells. They lost Mikey Power. They lost Milton as well, that big body. And they lacked last season, I think, just a bit of physicality to put a bit of fear in the opponent.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
that is a great first import signing.
Yeah.
I think if he'd have just got Pims and no points, you're like, oh, have they just signed a goon here? But he's shown he can get points as well. So yeah,
I was speaking to Dan about it. And for me, and I know we're slightly biased, but I think most people agree. You kind of had the Wells CV, which was just disgusting, and I think this is the CV just below that. And when you're getting a guy just below that, I think you've got a brilliant CV. You can see, as you've said, he can score points, and like you look at some of the other D men, like I think an Arsenal, and there was no season where he had 18 points in a season for the U Sports.
yeah,
Not just 18 points. I know Romford fans will love this because I know what Romford fans are. 142 pims, 18 points. That sounds like a flipping blast of a season. That sounds fun. And like Romford needed that last year. They needed a guy, and I'm not for this, but a guy who can just put someone through the boards.
yeah.
Like you need a guy who can set a statement when it's not going their way. Like
It's going to get the crowd going as well.
they didn't have that physical presence you needed, and like ideally you don't want your imports fighting, but if you're out not having a great game and Jarrett Baker drops the gloves, flip me, the fans are off their seat. And I'm sure some people do it for the elite prospect nerds a bit like myself. And I genuinely don't know anything. Again, we don't know any rumors in this podcast. But he did play on the same U Sports team as Sean Miller.
Yeah,
And to me, that kind of hints that maybe Sean Miller's coming back. And just for an example, and I'm saying this, is he scored more points in that 18-point year than Sean Miller, which is a bit mad considering how good Sean Miller was. So I really think this could be a top three import D in the league unless some new guys come in. Like he looks unreal on paper. My only worry is that he will put people through the boards. And in our league, that's not always the
Not
best
allowed.
idea because, as we've known with Mr. Tanner Butler at Bristol, put someone through the boards a bit too hard and the rest put their hand up pretty quickly. But saying that, I think Romford fans would quite enjoy that. So there's
Yeah,
positive.
they're still clapping off the ice.
Yeah,
yeah,
so but no, Jared Baker, I genuinely think for Romford that for me that if you were to put an import, like if you were to pick an import, it would be him. Like they needed a guy like that last year. You add a guy like that in last year, and I genuinely think I think they take that step up again. They take another step forward. And
yeah.
it's a
Damn,
good
we
sign.
said they needed an import D. I will say this: Spadafor come in the league last year with quite a lot of penalty minutes, and it took him a bit of time to adjust. I actually think he did quite well when Forsberg come in when he got used to the league. Do you think maybe this will take a bit of time for him to adapt to the league, or do you think Sean Miller might give him? Well, by the way, when Charlie says we're only guessing, Sean Miller hasn't been announced yet. Sean Miller might have just suggested him. We don't really know. But he did play for the same team as Sean Miller. But or do you think Dan Sean Miller would have like told him, okay, there can be bans in this league. You can't go full on heavy hitting here, but you Romford need your physicality because they lacked that a bit last season.
Um, I think I think when there's a guy that's been playing that way for so long, I think it's hard to sort of tell
Yeah,
them
I get that.
that they can't sort of play that way. I think obviously it's hard to sort of take him away from his style. Um, but like you say, that style isn't always a bad thing. Like Romford have always been that team that have wanted that sort of heavy guy, the heavy hitter. Um, all the Romford fans that we've spoken to, and we've also agreed they've missed that sort of physicality in their team. They've sort of turned into a bit of a rollover team. They haven't really sort of fought back this season, just gone. So it's a good sign in that way. The only thing that is sort of worrying me in the back of my head is if they are going to have a sort of situation like Bristol had with Butler, where he's the main D man, and obviously he's a physical guy. Sort of, if he's not with sort of another good D man on his pair, he has to sort of take in all the load. He has to take in all the minutes and sort of gets a bit overwhelmed with it and sort of starts just throwing bodies and
Yeah.
just starts hitting hard everywhere. Um, so it's sort of that is sort of in the back of my head. They need to sort of be they need to start thinking of a guy that they're going to pair him up with because so he can sort of focus on his game and not have to cover for what his like D man like his D pair should be doing.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see how they sort of pair it up. I'm sure Romford have sort of got a D man in mind that they want to pair him with, so it'll be interesting. We'll
Wow.
just have to wait and see.
They've got 3 more import slots still available. Do they go to import D, to import forward? We'll have to see. But one thing I will say as well, he looks like, as much as he's going to be this defensive physical D-man, he'll be able to play power play as well. He'll be able to man that power play. He's got a lot of goals for a defenseman. In that season, he got 8 goals. And he actually got more goals and assists last season. So I think that's someone who Romford will be able to stick on the power play. And I'm sure he's a great player if Miller's possibly suggested him. On to another D-man is Malik Martelli, re-signed with the MK Lightning. He is one of the best young defensemen in the league. I am surprised he hasn't. Maybe he has been offered. We don't know, but I'm surprised he hasn't quite had this two-way with an elite league team because I do think he deserves that, even if it's just training with them. But either way, it's a good re-signing for Milton Keynes. You're re-signing one of the best young defensemen, and he's a cup winner now, Charlie, playoff winner.
Yeah, really, really good resign. As you said, one of the hottest talents in the league. Each year he seems to take that step forward, which is really nice. I'm hoping for his sake he's guaranteed top 4 minutes because that MKD core does look quite stacked this year. If they do re-sign a Forsberg again, and yeah, you saw his game really play well in Coventry. He had a really good stint there, and the MK fans love him. They won a cup for the first time. He'll want to come back, win a league. That's what they'll want to be doing this year. They'll want to come back. They'll be hungry for more trophies. That's 2 trophies in 2 years now. They've got one more to complete the treble. And so yeah, it's a big re-signing for MK, and I think Malik keeps taking steps forward, and he's only 20 years old, so he's on the right path for the Elite League if that's a route he wants to take, or Europe or whatever. So yeah, he's a good young talent, and he's got a bright future ahead of him, and I'm sure he'll be having another good year in Milton Keynes.
Yeah, and Dan, he was in the team of the season, second team as well. He's rated by so many teams around the league, coaches around the league, captains. A lot of players we've spoken to have said that Malik is a really good player, and I think it's just nuts. He's only 20. I remember when we were all watching him when he was coming through as Stretton, but he was also on a two-way with MK. And that was like 3 years ago, and he's still only 20 years old now. And he hasn't really changed the way he's played, but you can tell every season he gets used to the physicality, and he's almost playing his game now. And I like that about him. He's not changed the way he's played.
Yeah, I still remember in Coventry when he obviously won the cup with Streatham and then he played in the final for MK. And obviously, yeah, that it's mental to think of sort of the way the time's gone. But yeah, he's a guy that's just growing into that style of hockey that he plays. He's an undersized D man, so people always sort of have their doubts about him. But the way he plays, it sort of cancels anything out about that. He's got really good speed. He can carry the puck up the ice really well. He's a really smooth skater. He's a smart D man. He takes shots when he's meant to take shots. He can pass the puck when he needs to pass the puck, and he's a guy that is, yeah, he's definitely growing up to be a very top D man, a top Brit D man, and yeah, we're going to see an even better Malik Martelli this year after such a sort of high achieving season that they had last year. They, like Charlie said, they're going to be fighting for every trophy this year again, and he's going to be a big part of that.
Yeah, it's a good re-signing for Milton Keynes. Another Brit as well, which are valuable. Hayden Levine back for the Peterborough Phantoms. He is their second import, obviously on top of Huff. So they've got two more slots remaining. And I put out on the tweet, he kind of got better as the season went on. He got um, used to the league more. And then when it hit playoffs, that's when we saw the best Hayden Levine. Up until the final, he was probably the best goalie in playoffs, wasn't he, Charlie? He had a tough one in the final, but Milton Keynes were very, very good. He was really good against Swindon when he needed to be as well. And yeah, I can see why Peterborough have re-signed him. It's just a solid re-signing who you can know you can trust. And I think Peter will be hoping he can take the momentum he had at the back end of the season into next season.
Yeah, I didn't think he was too bad. I thought he was in the middle pack of the import goalies, and yeah, I think it's kind of a no-brainer, really. From what I've heard, he lives in England as well, so it's not like you're bringing an import in from Canada. He's here already. You know what you're getting. You can trust him, and I think he can take that step forward. I still think he's got more in his game. He's an NCAA keeper, and I think we've seen that kind of bright spark. But sometimes I think there's a bit of a split opinion with him on Peterborough fans, but I think altogether I think they've got a good goalie in Living, and I think on his day he really is one of the best goalies in this league. And I think that's the thing. It's just trying to get that on your day a bit more often with Living, and you've really got yourself a top three, top two goalie in the league. But altogether, I think that's a solid re-signing. And I think it was needed for Peterborough, and I wouldn't want to take a risk on a random import goalie. I'll happily take Living and move on.
Yeah, I think for Peterborough, Dan, it kind of works. Taking on a random new goalie to come and play in Peterborough where the posts come off with the slightest little touch. It's those little things, isn't it? And I remember all the people on Twitter were saying the posts keep coming off for Levine every time, but he's now used to that. I know it sounds quite silly, but those are kind of the little things of just playing in Peterborough, isn't it? And he did get better as the season went on. I think he'll take that next step up as well, and he's going to have to with the league going up a level.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, he's got a year under his belt now. Like he's played in the elite league, but the elite league and national league is very, very different. It's a totally different style of hockey. Like he
Especially
won't
as
be
a
used.
goalie.
Yeah, he won't be used to having that decor in front of him. He won't be used to having these shooters shoot against him. Obviously, when you're playing in the elite league, you sort of know how the guys shoot. You sort of know that where they're aiming to shoot is actually where it's going to go. In the national league, it's sort of like you get some guys that you can see they shoot and they didn't mean to shoot it there, but it just ends up going there. And now he's got a year under his belt. He's gonna have a good off season. I think he knows what he's preparing himself for. He can work on things that he needs to sort of look at that he's been looking at from obviously the past year that he's had stuff that he needs to improve on. And yeah, I'll admit I've been a guy that's sort of been a bit mixed opinions about him. I've seen him have good games through playoffs, but then obviously in the league, I've not really seen him have great games. But obviously, like you guys have told me that he is a very good goalie, and you've seen him have obviously good games as well. But yeah, he's gonna be a lot better next year, I think, and I think he'll have sort of more consistent year instead of sort of up and down year.
Yeah, I agree. So Peterborough, as I said, two imports signed. Still no coach announced yet. Same with Bison, actually, Dan. Steve
Yep.
was saying they've got candidates who they've interviewed. So I think it's only a matter of time before we see both teams announce the head coaches. And on our next episode, hopefully they'll both be announced so we can talk about them. But the final signing, we come after. I think there's near to 20 signings we've gone through today, is Mr. Cam Hamill. And I'm really happy that he's signed back in Bristol. I think he kind of, we said that when he didn't quite get given that role in Milton Keynes because we know the depth they've got. He finally got given a top six role. Sometimes he got played on the third line, but he got a considerable more points, Charlie. And he also just gets it. He gets being in that Bristol team. He put out that nice message at the end of the season. I just think he's you want to re-sign him if you're Richie Hargreaves.
Yeah, 12 points to 31 points.
Yeah,
With
almost triple.
only 9 games extra. Yeah, a phenomenal season for Cam Huff last year, and I think he
Hamill,
stepped.
Hamill.
Hamill.
Huh?
You said
Huff,
Huff,
Hamill.
Cam Huff.
I think Hamill would love to be Huff. I think he'd say that to me. But yeah, I chatted to him at Cov actually. Nice guy. He was on the beer. I don't think anyone's surprised about that one. But
That's why he
Irish,
spoke
Northern
to you.
Irish.
he's absolutely, yeah. That's probably the reason he spoke to me. He had a couple of beers. But yeah, no, I really like Cam Hamill, and I think I said to him, I remember saying to him like it was the right move for him to go to Bristol. Like he really got given an opportunity there, and in a team which struggled, it finished 11th. He stood out, and that's because one, he never leaves anything on the ice. He leaves everything on the ice. I'm tired,
You're
man.
doing him
Well, it's
dirty. You're
half
doing him
11.
It's
dirty.
been a long day.
So you don't pay any
I'm
effort,
sorry,
Ian.
Cam. You're flipping him, but no, he's really good, man. I give up.
Charlie's tapping out. No, what Charlie's trying to say is he gives everything. He
Yeah,
leaves everything on the ice. Even when Bristol were getting beat by quite a large chunk, he would still be a guy which stood out in every one of those games. And he's going to reap the rewards of Bristol having a much improved team this season and a playoff Cam Hamill, Dan. We know what the Hamill brothers were like last year when they were on the line together. He is going to be forechecking, hitting, following through. That Jared Baker, he's going to be one of the first players to call him out for a fight, isn't he?
Oh
He's
yeah,
quite anyone.
he'll drop the gloves. He'll drop the gloves of anyone. Bristol love him. The fans love him. He's been a fan favorite after a year. Um, he brings the energy into that club. He can really boost that team. He can give them the energy. He can fire the fans up. He knows when to fight. He knows when to sort of play his physical game, and yeah, he sort of brings all aspects to the game. He's sort of like we were saying about Morris and sort of Wilson. He has those sort of types of games where he can be a rat. He can have those games where he can sort of have his offensive side, and he can just sort of change his way to different styles of the game and sort of different parts of the game. So, yeah, it's another good re-signing for Bristol. Um, yeah, he's gonna have a really good year.
Yeah, don't remember he's not going to leave it all on the ice.
Yeah, and he's not signed for Peterborough. He's signed for Bristol.
Yeah, it's not come up. Right, it is nearly 11:30. Toronto are playing in half an hour. I think me and Dan are definitely going to stay up. Charlie, you might stay up for maybe one period.
Yeah.
But yeah, we hope you've
Ready to go
enjoyed this.
3-0 up in the series. That's what I'm
Oh,
ready for.
that would be the dream for you guys. But we hope you've
Get
enjoyed
reverse
this
sweat.
episode. A lot of sign-ins which we've gone through. We've got a couple more interviews which I've got planned, which we'll release. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the off season. I love this little part where we see all these new players, and I know Dan's loving it with all the Bison signings.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
Still
plenty more.
feels weird talking about Basingstoke
It
on the
does,
pod.
yeah, it does feel very weird.
I
But
I hope you're gonna put a new logo in our little.
yeah, I need to change the logo.
Yeah, you got a bit of overtime in there
Oh,
to
what do
do
we
that.
think? New logo?
Yeah, I
All
like it.
right, it's
I
not too
like it.
bad.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, I think it was
Just
due a
bring the
logo
logo style.
change, a new kind
Yeah,
of brand, and they're never going to change the Bison. You can't change the name, but you have to brand it with a new team, don't you, Dan?
yeah. New website as well. Looks very nice.
Yeah,
New website. But yeah, I like the direction that this off season's going for Basingstoke, and I'm excited to get some more news. And I'm very excited to see the coach. That's what I'm excited for.
yeah.
Definitely better than last off season.
Yeah, yeah, and the season before that actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, we're waffling now. So we hope you enjoyed the rest of your week. Up the Oilers, Dan's up the Toronto,
Up the
Colorado
Leafs.
are out. We'll see
Ah.
you in the next one. Peace.